If you've raced in VR, you already know that clarity and field of view can make or break immersion. Well, the Pimax Crystal Super just rewrote the rulebook. This headset doesn't just show you the track, it throws you right into it. Today we're jumping into 3 of the most popular sim racing titles, iRacing, Automobilista 2 and Assetto Corsa with the Pure Modification, and I'll show you exactly why the Pimax Crystal Super is the best VR headset for sim racing in 2025. Get strapped in, buckle up and let's hit the grid because this ride is going to be next level.
Play it on Pimax.
Before we dive into the laps, a massive shout out to Pimax for partnering with this channel. Right now you can grab some exclusive offers, just use my code NLSimGaming for a huge discount on the Pimax Crystal Lite or the Pimax Super. And here's the best part, any orders placed before November the 30th 2025 will automatically enter you to win a 50% off voucher for an additional optical engine upgrade, whether that's the Micro OLED, 57 ppd, 50 ppd or ultra wide. And if you join my Discord community, send me a DM, I've got a few exclusive subscriber only offers that are seriously worth checking out and very limited. Don't forget, I've now added a Pimax Q&A section where I can personally help new owners get the very most out of their new headset, whether it's setup or performance tweaks. All the details are in the video description. Okay, so I've got a bit of a confession to make. I actually have not played iRacing in some time because I actually have been playing other sim racing titles like Le Mans Ultimus, F1 2025, and I've just recently started Race Room as well. So I resubscribed to iRacing for the purpose of this video, and boy am I glad I did. You know, these guys, they just constantly never cease to amaze me with the developments of this game. So first of all, let me explain why this is so good in virtual reality. We're on the Pimax Super 50 ppd and we are set at 1.0 high in render resolution in Pimax Play, and we have the graphical quality set to the top settings, basically ultra settings in game. Now we're getting 90 FPS at 90 Hz, and I've got to say guys that this is just an absolutely unbelievable experience. Not only does it look incredible in the Pimax Super here, but we've also got the ability, if we need to activate some additional features that the Pimax Super has to improve the performance of this game. So if you were in a position where you had a GPU which is of a lower specification, you not only have those new tools available in Pimax Play, such as the GPU upscaling and also the sharpening features as well, to improve performance, but iRacing has you covered additionally in the respect that you've also got the quad views as well, and fixed foveated rendering, and also dynamic foveated rendering as well. So quad views is a fairly new feature to iRacing, and it's one of the features that can only really be utilized by a VR headset that uses the foveated rendering. And now in the Pimax Super we are completely covered in that respect because we have amazing eye tracking by Toby, which is dynamic eye tracking. And once again, I've read on Reddit that many users are reporting some amazing performance uplifts in this particular game with lower spec GPUs, you know, even down to RTX 4070s etc, but getting the same levels of performance as what I'm getting in this game now. So in that respect, it's just absolutely amazing. Now we're at the Nürburgring Nordschleife, and another great thing about iRacing is, in terms of setup as well, you can customize this game so finely to your exact liking. Now as you can probably see, I'm a bit wooden on this game because I haven't played it for some time, and I've also got a new setup as well. I've got a Moser R9 and some load cell pedals as well, which I'm still trying to get used to. But, you know, this is an amazing experience. iRacing is one of those games that's amazing to play online, and I mentioned in the previous video as well, but prior to actually getting the Pimax Super, I would have never ventured online to play competitively against anybody else in this game because there was just too many factors that could go wrong. Now, if you don't know anything about iRacing, iRacing actually has what we call an iRating, and if you make any mistakes or bash into anybody else or have any issues, let's just say you were to lose tracking or some other issue in a VR headset, then potentially your iRacing could be at stake, which is obviously something you don't want to happen. But, you know, I've got to say that this is just absolutely amazing. I've resubscribed, and I am going to firmly remain subscribed to this again now, because so much has changed actually in a relatively short space of time for me unsubscribing to the game for a while. So this is iRacing, and what an absolutely amazing experience it is on the Pimax Super. When it comes to sim racing, comfort is everything, and honestly the Pimax Super is the most comfortable headset I've ever raced with, straight out of the box. I can easily run multi-hour sessions without any discomfort, but if you want to take it even further, there's a whole ecosystem of premium comfort accessories out there. Now this right here is the V3 from Studio Form, and this ultra soft facial interface you see in my videos is absolute heaven. One of my subscribers, Richard from the US, summed it up perfectly. He said it's like driving a Cadillac, and I couldn't agree more. If you want to try these for yourself, I've linked them down below, and yes, you can grab 10% off with my exclusive link. Believe me, this setup is a total game changer for long sim sessions. Now, we can't talk about sim racing titles unless we bring Automobilista 2 into the mix, and this again is just an absolutely fantastic sim racing title. It's one of those titles that's a little bit more accessible for new VR racers, and the AI in this is not unfortunately as good as in other titles, but other than that, everything is absolutely spot on. So this time we're at the Nürburgring Nordschleife again, and we're in the Porsche 911 GT3 again, and you know, this game is just real edge of the seat stuff, and it really does, you know, add to that levels of excitement and immersion. But going on to the reasons why, again, the Pimax Super is literally the best VR headset for sim racing. So in this again, I'm using the 50p PD, and I've got, you know, fantastic peripheral vision. I can see literally everything in the left mirror, and obviously to the right of me there as well. You know, and that adds so much to the levels of immersion. And what really is attracting my eye is that carbon fiber weave in that left-hand mirror there, because it just looks absolutely incredible in this retina level VR headset. You know, the thing with moving across from multi-monitors and also from ultra-wide monitors, which is what I've traditionally used in sim racing titles, is that you want the same levels of visual quality with no concessions. The great thing about the Pimax Super is it's the only VR headset I've really used that not only gives you that ultra lightning fast, ultra low latency, you know, so turning my head left to right, you know, there is no delay or anything with that. In other VR headsets that I've used, you've got latency there, and you've got almost like a jitter, you know, that really breaks the immersive factor. But this now feels to me, again, you know, absolutely like lightning. It really does. And equally on the Pimax Crystal Light as well, you know, this is an absolutely fantastic experience. So I've moved across from a number of other VR headsets in the past on this particular game, and although the game's had a number of revisions, the main thing that strikes you is even using a direct link cable with something like the Quest 3, you've still got that compression and decompression, and therefore you have additional latency as well. Now we're getting ultra smooth performance in this, we're getting 90 FPS at 90 Hz, and this game is one of those games that some VR users struggle with on the Pimax devices, and it really is actually not too difficult to get running well. Now, I'm actually going to put some custom settings in my Discord group for this, because a number of users do ask me quite frequently what settings are you using. But let me just say that it looks absolutely amazing. Now, another thing to mention as well is trees as well, which may sound like a bit of a strange thing to say, but sim racing titles can be sort of benchmarked really by the quality of the trees, which probably sounds a little bit crazy, but some trees in sim racing titles just look so false and fake that it almost breaks the immersion, because they have this weird flat appearance to them. Now in this, you know, the trees look absolutely amazing and just like real life, as does the grass and as do all the other effects in the game. And it's little details like this that just adds to those levels of realism. I mean, even the graffiti on the wall, the graffiti on the floor. This is the best Nürburgring by far. Now this Nürburgring also had a 2025 revision recently, and this is an additional DLC for this particular track, so you actually have to buy this separately. But it's worth every penny. The Nürburgring Nordschleife is literally my favourite track, and it really just is a fantastic experience, especially when racing around with other vehicles like we have here. So again, it doesn't have the same features as iRacing does. We don't have that dynamic foveated rendering, and we don't have the quad views unfortunately in this particular title, but what we do have is we have the GPU upscaling feature in Pimax Play, and we also have the sharpening feature. And if you are struggling with performance, they add a massive amount of benefit to this particular title. You know, some people comment that they only get around 60 FPS in this title. With the right amount of small tweaks to it, you know, 90 FPS and 90 Hz is no issue. And you know, that's not just because I'm running a 5090. You know, using those same settings have also helped other users obviously as well achieve the same levels of performance. So again, absolutely amazing title, looks absolutely incredible, and one of my all-time favourites on the Pimax Super. So this time we're in Assetto Corsa, and this is known as the Pure Modification, and it completely overhauls Assetto Corsa and makes it into a just jaw-dropping experience. So what this does is it completely overhauls the graphics in Assetto Corsa and brings essentially a very aged game into modern day standards. I would actually go as far to say that modified Assetto Corsa, the original one which we're playing here using Content Manager, is better than Assetto Corsa Evo, that's the newer version obviously, that's presently being updated. It's far better, not only in terms of visuals at this stage in this particular title, but also in terms of physics as well. It brings me nicely onto immersion, and we talk about immersion and we throw the word around a lot, but let me just say that there is no more of an immersive experience than driving Assetto Corsa around the Nürburgring, which is what's happening here in the BMW M2 competition, running 600 horsepower in heavy rain against the whole load of other classic BMWs as well. It's just an absolutely amazing experience. But we have here running a high number of modifications. Now, I've been modifying games for years, and I have modified Assetto Corsa for a number of years as well. Now, it started actually probably with the Pico 4 and then progressed to the Quest Pro, and I've modified it quite heavily as well with the Quest 3 as well. But what we're doing with those headsets is we're never going to achieve the same levels of visuals as what we're getting in the Pimax Super, no matter how hard you try to do that. We are simply just trying to emulate the same behaviours as what the Pimax Super already has. So we've obviously got the direct DisplayPort connection that's directly connected to the GPU, in this case a 5090. And to give you an idea of performance, I've maxed the game out in every single respect, and I'm getting over 70 FPS in the 90 Hz mode, and it's just an absolutely electric experience and just absolutely jaw-dropping. So we've got the levels of performance available there, and we've also got those additional tools we've already mentioned, the GPU upscaling feature and the sharpening features in Pimax Play as well. And of course we can tweak the settings in there as well to improve it depending on which GPU you have. But remember that the Quest 3, for example, and the Pico 4, you know, they are standalone VR headsets. They are not dedicated PC VR headsets with a direct DisplayPort cable to the GPU. And the other important thing to mention as well, if we are playing PC simulators, racing simulators for example, or even flight simulators, we want to enjoy those sessions for a long duration. And certainly one thing that I've noticed about a recent headset I've looked at, which is a Play for Dream MR, we're essentially still, even with that, having to then run another cable, which is a USB-C pass-through cable, to maintain levels of charge, and even then it's a wireless experience using Virtual Desktop or the Steam Link, and we are once again emulating these same levels of performance that we're seeing in the Pimax Super, and we're trying to get to that. You know, with the Pimax Super and even the Pimax Crystal Light, you're already there. And actually moving from the Quest devices onto the Pimax Crystal Light, which is what I originally did, I just just couldn't turn back. But the Pimax Super really was the end goal in terms of reaching that. Now we are at a stage where we can actually ditch the ultra-wide monitor and we can actually move fully to VR for sim racing. And I'll summarize it by saying that in sim racing, the Pimax Super is simply the king of VR headsets. There is no better experience, and I will actually quite happily stand by that in every respect, because for me personally, having used this headset for around 6 months, it has completely removed me from that ultra-wide monitor, and I now have no need to go back to that because this experience is just as good, and in terms of visual clarity, it is just incredible. It is simply the king of VR headsets for sim racing. If you love sim racing and want to see every apex, every rival, every drop of rain in razor sharp clarity, the Pimax Crystal Super might just be the headset you've been waiting for. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe and notification bell, because I've got some massive Pimax content and sim racing tests coming up soon. This is Next Level VR Racing, and I'll see you on the track.